Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. Now this morning, we gather to exchange ideas, to share diverse perspectives and insights, and to learn from each other, to learn from our experience, and also basically to gather whatever expertise that we can have that we can share. And more, something deeper, something more profound. And that is to reflect on the responsibilities that accompany talent. For it is talent that I see and the potential talent that can be taken out from here. Well, some of it could be raw talent. Some of it could be talent in the making, not half-baked talent. There's a big difference between raw talent in the making, and half-baked talent, yeah? And of course, it could be talent that has already been fully expressed. Whatever level we are in, and looking at what we have, the duty of responsibility must never be abandoned. And there must also be discipline. For I also see ambition, the fact that you are here. And ambition is like a wild stallion, must be kept in check. Ambition is the desire for achievement, nothing wrong with it. The achievement for status, for honor, for power, for fame, for even wealth. That is human nature. Now, Shakespeare, in telling the story of ambition, gives us this character called Macbeth. The play is also called Macbeth. Essentially, Macbeth is so obsessed with ambition that he is prepared to kill the king so that he himself will take over as a king. The king is, of course, King Duncan. The key phrase here is not just ambition. It is called a vaulting ambition. It's a big word. And interestingly, Google Translation, not ChatGPT yet, yeah? Google Translation, I just use it to compare. I have my own translation. Initial translation of vaulting ambition, translated in Melayu as cita-cita tinggi. It's very lame. Vaulting ambition has a different meaning. I translate it as cita-cita melompat, or even better, cita-cita melonjak. Now, please bear that in mind as I give you what Shakespeare has told us. Let me quote. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition. What does it do? It overleaps itself and falls on the other. And now let me give you Faiz Abdullah's translation. Not ChatGPT, not Google. Aku tiada dorongan demi menusuk sisi niat aku, tetapi hanya cita-cita melonjak yang melampaui dirinya sendiri dan akhirnya gagal mencapai sasaran. That is the context I want to share with you today about vaulting ambition. But I will come to another point later. In other words, you have to govern your ambition. You yourself can only do that. Or your ambition will govern you. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is that the future is not shaped by those who simply inherit structures of power. It's a very important point I want to start with. When you talk of innovation, creativeness, moving forward, don't forget, we must share, take away this sense of entitlement that power is to be given to us. We have to go and grab it. The future is shaped by those who discipline the mind, enrich the spirit, and embrace the uncertainty of change. What do we embrace it with? Courage and conviction. Just now I cautioned you against ambition, against vaulting ambition, but let me be clear. We have also to guard against self-complacency. No need to do anything. We are good. I've achieved this level. I'm fine. There's no need for me to push anything. Guard against that. Because the world is not slowing down for you. The world is not slowing down for me. The world is not slowing down at all for us. Hang on, we have to catch our breath. The world won't hang on to that. New technologies, and it was mentioned just now by Tuan Haji Ram, new technologies, new ideas, new conflicts, new frontiers are emerging in every direction, every moment, every day. So in this fast-pacing, fast-changing world, remaining stationary is actually going backwards. We cannot hope to thrive by falling back on entitlement or living in the past nostalgia. We must be prepared to think deeply, learn continuously, and act bravely, even when the path ahead is uncharted, unclear. Let me share with you, therefore, 3, I believe, important, crucial, critical reflections for your journey. Number 1, the need to reimagine leadership in this transforming world. Perhaps it is natural that the first thing that comes to mind, I was teaching MBA for a couple of years now after forming and starting the Selangor Business School. And in MBA, one of the primary core courses is strategic management. And invariably, the first lecture, even the first line, I begin with the great definition of leadership by the great Peter Drucker. This is just some sort of a muqaddimah to start with. And guess what he says? He says, management is doing things right. That's fine. But leadership is doing the right things. That's a world of difference there. Let me just deep dive into this, yeah? Now we need to see leadership in this age can no longer be reduced to titles of authority. I'm not trying to belittle my title here. I'm not trying to belittle anybody's title. But it cannot be a symbol or a go-free card to leadership. Whether it is Tun, Tan Sri, Dato, Doctor, whatever it may be. That is not the entitlement to leadership. Because leadership is a discipline of the mind. If your mind is not disciplined enough, no matter what title you carry, people will see the cracks. So you do not carry that badge. It is a capacity beyond the immediate to understand not only what is happening, but why it is happening. And what happens if it happens. What it may lead you, me, everybody else into the road or into the path that we do not know. True leaders do not chase validation. They do not go for applause. They cultivate credibility. They study the currents that shape societies, economies, the world over. They listen before they speak. This is a lesson I have to remind myself every day. Listen before you speak. Because I believe it is important. Before you want recognition, you have to recognize. We do not act out of impulse. We act out of the firm corridors and the pillars of our conscience. That we will never go wrong. In a world of instant commentary, we are in this world. I'm no longer considered to be part of it, but I'm still part of it because I cannot live without this. You cannot live without looking at it every other 5 seconds. I know that. I'm okay about it. I'm cool. Yeah. But once in a while, you should look up and say, let's pretend to listen. Yeah. That's important when you make it up. We all do it. Social media is in our lives. We can't run away from that. But a leader must demonstrate steadiness, not haste. Substance, not spectacle. Depth, not distraction. Develop a mind that is curious, analytical, and resilient. Easy to say, very, very difficult. We're honing that skill year in and year out, but do not give up. Because when clarity of thought meets integrity of action, society will advance. So in leadership, there has to be clear vision. Not just vision, clear vision. And a vision that is armed with courage of convictions, tenacity of purpose. This is the phrase that has been used very regularly by leaders who I admire. A leader must demonstrate that he is always prepared to accept change and take accountability and be responsible for accepting it. So, this is very interesting. There's a famous play called 12 Nights, Shakespeare, of course. There is this very irritating, annoying character. His name is Malvolio, very pompous. In Melayu, we call him Belaga, you know. Yeah, Lorat, Belaga. That's exact sort of character we have, you know. So this character, he's got a fake letter. It's a scam. It's a prank on him. He has this letter from supposedly the woman that he admires, that's in love with. So this letter praises him sky high. He thinks it's real. And this letter talks about leadership. But there is one phrase which is still real, regardless of the scam, regardless of the prank. And I want to read to you. Very important. About greatness. So here he says, be not afraid of greatness. Don't be afraid. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. I've been thinking about this. Many critics have been thinking about it. Philosophers have been talking about it. Now, what does it really mean in our present condition? I think I can sum it as follows. Look around us, look around you, not just here, everywhere, and you will find how different people come to power and influence. You ask yourself sometimes, what is it actually that he has done that has become so great? As Shakespeare has already said. Some have greatness thrust upon them. Some are born with greatness. So, this is what it is. Now, even if you're not born great, according to Shakespeare, the lesson is when opportunity knocks, don't be afraid to open it. Carpe diem, seize the day, seize the opportunity. Don't tell yourself, maybe I'm not good for it, I shouldn't be bothered. This opportunity, I'll just let it pass. Do not do that. Because when it comes, every one of you, every one of us, if we do hard enough, we could be a leader in our own right and be great to the extent that we want to. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. This is a very important lesson for all of us. And I like the word courage here. Courage. Courage here hits us like the way the hammer hits the nail on the head. Anybody remember John Wick here? Yes. Now, let me tell you this story. Now, of course, John Wick, not because of the macho man, Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I mean, we all admire that guy. Everybody, not everybody, but it can be Keanu Reeves. But this great thing about courage reminds me, this character. Across his upper back is written the very famous phrase, and is called Fortis Fortuna Adiuvat. It's not difficult to translate. Fortis Fortuna Adiuvat. What it simply means is that fortune, luck, victory will come or will favor the bold. Fortune will favor the brave. Fortune will favor the courageous. It goes back to just now what I was saying, that knocking on the door, opportunity comes, we have to open it. Because if you do not do so, you will not get your victory. What matters in life is not just what we have lived, but what difference we have made to the lives of others. We're talking about discipline, fortune, victory, success. I think we need to remember this particular phrase. What matters in life is not what just we have lived, but what difference we have made. And guess who said that? The great words of Nelson Mandela. So keep that in mind. Always. Integrity. The theme will definitely include before you do all these things, this very crucial element called integrity. Without it, everything will just collapse. You know why? Because integrity is the very pillar, the very foundation of these three things. Trust, values, principles. You can search all you like, you can innovate all you like, you can be creative all you like, you can get your so-called unicorn eventually, but if you don't have integrity, you will not get trust, you have no values, and your principles will shatter. I said earlier about vision, clarity of vision. Now why? Because it is essential to motivate, essential to inspire. Not just yourself, others, people around you, people you work with, your colleagues, even your friends, even family. Because they serve as a guiding light, will help us navigate the treacherous waters of this ever-changing, fast-paced world. We all need that. What else do we need? We need empathy. I mentioned it earlier. Maybe I jumped the gun. I was going to get to that. Empathy. Empathy means understanding and valuing the perspectives of all of us. You have one view, I have another view. You can disagree with me, you're entitled to say so. Likewise, I am entitled to disagree with you. And as much as I can show my agreement with you with having to sacrifice or compromise my other principles. Empathy is absolutely crucial. And that is what is lacking in most societies' discourse. That is what lacking in parliament. That's what is lacking in the general discourse. Empathy is not that. It's either you or me. It's me or you. If you don't agree with me, take the hype out of it. That's not empathy. Sorry, I'm going to go back to another great quote, but this is not Shakespeare. It is T.S. Eliot. He's a poet-philosopher. A great poet-philosopher. The famous quote. I think Tuan Haji was mentioning about AI. I am a great believer. I accept it. We're all aware of it. But then there's a problem of flooding or inundation of information. There's also the problem of over access coming out in terms of knowledge. So more than half a century ago, back 70 years ago, this great poet-philosopher has already predicted it. He's not talking about AI, he's just talking about human nature. He says, where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? You accumulate a lot of knowledge. But where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information? Going backwards. You have tons of information. First you have data, then you have information, then you have knowledge. Where is the wisdom? Artificial intelligence can accelerate processes, but it cannot replace wisdom. That's why I always say it cannot replace humanity. It can replace the human chores. It can take over even basic, even supposedly very efficient mechanical things. It can take over all of that. But it cannot replace humanity. Digital speed can deliver information, but it cannot replace discernment. Discernment is very important. Digital speed cannot replace that. Only humans have discernment. Well, they will say eventually they have reached that point where even the machines and AI can reach the level of discernment. It's debatable. It can be yes or it can be no, but it can never replace human discernment. Agility, being agile, flexible, is not just about being able to react quickly. It is about adapting thoughtfully. So the courageous leader is not the one who changes direction at every wind, but one who knows when to hold firm and when to persevere and when to recalibrate without losing your dignity. This applies to us. As you reach your level in the work that you do, you must know when to accept a mistake and take it with humility. And you must know also when to stand up for your principle when you know that you're right and you have to speak up for it. This is what I'm talking about. Now, number 3, this summit may provide you as good with the tools and networks. We can give you that. But I think what it also gives you is perspective. It's very important. Look at art. If you go to a museum, art museum, go near, you look at that picture, it looks one way. As you step back 10 feet, it looks like another thing. As you step back 20 feet from a different direction, that's called perspective. So in life, we need that perspective. So, just a couple of things, my final words. You can consider it that since I'm the oldest person here, I could share some suggestions for you. You can take it as advice. You could also just ChatGPT, put it aside. But a few things I want to share with you as my final words. Read, and read. Read with discernment, with choice, with discipline. Never go for the easy way. Audio, everything can hear. Of course you can hear. But God gave you eyes to function so that it will pace your thinking and forces you to have discipline to process the words that you see. That's why I say you have to read with discernment. Of course, the subjects that are good. We live in an interconnected region, and a rising Malaysia must contribute meaningfully to the global community. Here I'm speaking at the geopolitical level. Consider yourselves not just as the position that you're in, or the work that you're in, or the office you're working. Consider yourselves higher than that. That what you do will impact Malaysian society, and how it impacts Malaysian society will impact Malaysia as a nation, and how that will make Malaysia as part of a regional world order, and with that, even on the global arena. Your generation, my generation, Haji generation is a different generation. So your generation must not only prepare for the future, you must imagine it. Think about it. AI has a lot to do. Don't let that do the imagination for you. That is that one last vestige, that territory which AI cannot invade. Use that to imagine your future. Why? So that you can shape it, so you can uphold it with dignity and say that it is my generation, I have imagined it. Let your success, and I'm imagining we will have more success than failure. But what you elevate, by whom you empower, and by the values you refuse to compromise. That is the biggest challenge. In life, as you go on, there'll be lots of challenges. One of it will be challenging your values. Now, to all of you, I say, and to all those who feel that they're also a part of it, yeah, of course, age is a state of mind. I consider myself very young. I can't help the physical part, but I think spiritually I am with you. So to all of us, the world, yes, changing, and changing fast and furious. It's a song that I always remember, Bob Dylan, you know. Yeah? Times they are changing, and I add, it's changing fast and furious. But do not fear this moment. As the great FDR always says, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. So get that out of the way. Embrace the future with discipline. Embrace it with honor. Embrace it with curiosity. There is no greater calling than to serve with integrity and to lead with conscience. Consider yourselves as leaders. Consider yourself as servants as well. Serve with integrity. Lead with conscience. Malaysia, this country, this beloved nation, the future will be shaped by you. Shaped by those who equate intellect with humility, excellence with a soul, innovation with humanity, ambition with a sense of responsibility to community and country. May you rise as leaders who are not driven solely by success, but by significance. May you search not only for opportunity, but for meaning. And may your leadership be remembered not only for what it achieved, but how faithfully it served. One more, don't forget. And this I want to end it with a bit of passion. It's something that's very dear to me, something that I learned 6 years ago when I was, just lower secondary school, this great musical. Listen carefully, this is what I'm going to say. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow until you find your dream. Thank you very much.